Welcome back to the channel. It's been a hot minute since talking about actually anything new Transformers, but guess what? Legacy Wave 1 just dropped, mainly at Targets. So living in a post-COVID world now where rules seem to mean absolutely zip, it's kind of refreshing to have a first wave of the brand new Legacy lineup and not seemingly any of them be stinkers. Even the ones like RC and Bulkhead that people really were on the fence about or just plain hated have been getting good reviews. I know, it's crazy, right? But then that kind of leads into what I kind of want to talk about today. You've already clicked on the video, you already know what it is. I'm going to get to it. It's Legacy Kickback. Now, before we get into Kickback properly, I kind of want to draw attention to one of the other players and another one, obviously. Dragstrip. Dragstrip is one of those characters that everyone seemingly wanted, as well as Skids. But when you get him, he kind of feels a little off. Now, what I mean by that is giant, massive, hollow head, wibbly waist, which, yeah, he separates. And he kind of has a proportion problem, especially with the legs, because these thighs are small as hell, but then he has giant, massive bottom halves, like giant chunking boots that come up way past where his knee should be. And again, face on without any of the nice detailing along the side, it is just basically a giant yellow dude with a silver belly. It's kind of underwhelming when you get him in hand. And yeah, he comes with these pretty sweet little purple and black blasters, but really, I was expecting more. And yes, I know we've just had the leaked product shot of Motormaster and it does look pretty cool, I have to say. But really, as I say, in a post-COVID world where things are supposed to be a bit more exciting, and Legacy Wave 1 was exciting, so yeah, he wasn't really what I was expecting, and maybe Skids will be the opposite of the spectrum where I wasn't really expecting much and he looked kind of hollow and awkward, and really he'll be the breakaway star, whereas this one, Dragstrip, I'm just hoping your brothers are a little bit better than you is all I'm saying. Kind of on the flip side, we've got Silverstreak, which is weird. So yeah, this Datsun mold is kind of being done to death now, much like the other car molds that we've seemingly got a million of now. But the Datsun mold itself is actually pretty good. It's kind of a mixed bag. It has the Prowl-esque head without the smokescreen square-jawed chiseledness that it usually has, but it also has the chunky front bumper chest-faced, so it kind of works. And obviously with the Siege mold, with the legs being thinner, it never really sat quite right with me. So this kind of mold, where you've actually got the squared out legs, where it looks good from all angles and kind of feels like a complete figure, it's better. Plus, the blue and black and silver color scheme is just, it's good. Obviously, you've still got the same problem of the hollowness in the feet and the legs, and maybe a bit of gappage underneath, but overall this is a much better addition, and this isn't even technically in the Legacy line, it's just branded as Legacy and Buzzworthy Bumblebee. Legacy Sons, Buzzworthy Bumblebee, Legacy Silverstreak. Got it the second time. So yeah, as an Autobot, I was really not going to pick this guy up, but the color scheme in hand actually works so well, and I actually had to get the guy at my local Target to pick this guy up because I knew, and I was proven correct. His heads have already started going missing. This is LeBron James, Space Jam 2 all over again. So with the negative on Dragstrip and the positive on Silverstreak, I feel it's time to actually get to the main attraction. And honestly, the main attraction, this is the underground star of the first wave. I mean, obviously you had Blaster, obviously you had Bulkhead, people were excited for Skids and Dragstrip, what with him being a combiner and all. But I feel a lot of people didn't give Kickback the kind of respect he actually deserves with this mold, because the last time we had a Kickback was like 2016 in Titan's Return. It's been that long. Plus, with the 2016 mold, his hands were all wibbly and fiddly and kind of gross. The little silver purple blaster is actually a nice touch too, because it kind of looks like a Tommy gun, and I am all for futuristic Tommy guns. I think they are actually quite neat. Also coming packaged is what is going to be without a doubt the play gimmick or feature of the actual Legacy lineup, it being translucent plastic. Great. But really, I get it. It's a play feature. It's additional weapons if you want to armor him up, or if you really want to add on extra wing things to his wing things. Speaking of wing things, these wings are actually the most beautiful translucent plastic molding I've ever seen, honestly. And it's the most simplest thing. Basically, they've taken the actual design of what you see on bug wings and put them into the mold itself, creating this really beautiful effect on both of the wings, which, yeah, they're kind of really, really delicate, but they look so good. Sticking with the wings for a minute, this is actually how he comes boxed in packaging with the wings down, because they are actually on a separate rotation joint, meaning you can move these independently and the arm isn't going to move at all. That's some good engineering right there, and especially for a deluxe. Basically, what this added length means is that he does stand out on the shelf. It does add to his silhouette, and yeah, it means he can hang with the big boy Voyagers and kind of look a little bit more imposing. Honestly, it's the little touches like that and more that I'm going to get into in just a second, which really makes this guy stand out as possibly the big superstar of Wave 1 of Legacy. Even his chunky little noggin is so much more refined and cartoon-like and better than the 2016 Titans Return version. It just makes me want to gush, but gushing in a good way. It's a tiny little bonce, but so much small detail packed in and giant antennae ears. It's got this kind of insect charm that is all its own. It does cut a very good figure. The colors are perfect, the paint is perfect. There's very little in the way of faults that I personally could see with this. I mean, yeah, you've got one slight tease of there being a pin here and a spring in the front of his belly, meaning that you'd think that his torso would pop open. But no, that's all just for show. But again, moving down to the legs, he's got that chunk that really a Decepticon needs in the foot area to really make an impact. And I mean that in more than just a footprint kind of way. The ankle tilt as well is really kind of grand, because you've got this panel here that hides most of that hollow gappiness that you'd get with the normal ankle tilt. Kind of looking at you for this one, Dragstrip, because yeah, that's an awful lot of gap, isn't it? So basically, Kickback'S robot mode is pretty much what we kind of wanted from an Insecticon back in 2016, and hell, even earlier with Combiner Wars, which was, I think, Bombshell maybe? But really, it took about 5 years for us to get a full, complete set of Insecticons, and I'm really hoping with just the robot mode as an example that we get them quicker and to this level. And yeah, speaking of the robot mode, let's switch back into bug mode, and it is basically him just laying down, but I can kind of forgive him, more like I can forgive Scourge in the Studio series, because yeah, he was a shell former of sorts, but this guy is pretty much one of just the lies down ones. But it's the fact that he does it so well. The fact is, this guy looks good whether he's in a group of other Mechanimals that are on the Decepticon side, or if you're just going to put him in straight G1 with Megatron and the others. The fact is, this figure is really good and much better than anyone ever thought they'd give it credit for, especially when the first wave was packed with Blaster, Skids, Bulkhead, Dragstrip. Kickback just seemed kind of like an afterthought, much like a dessert in a restaurant. We'll get to him if we have room. But really, in my opinion, this guy really is the breakout silent star of the first wave. And yeah, we've got Iguanus and Bulkhead and Skids, but this guy really does feel underappreciated, and I don't know why. Obviously, I'm not going to trash things like Dragstrip, completely. He is a good addition and a good update from Combiner Wars, and Lord knows we need a great new set of combiners. But it just feels kind of secondary to what we thought was going to be secondary. Again, if that makes sense. Really, when you look at it, Kickback is just one of those G1 go-tos with just a brand new lick of paint and a little bit of engineering tweakage, and just slapped with a new box and thrown onto a shelf. But really, it feels like a little bit more than that, and it should be treated as such. It should be treated special. Because as I come back to Silver Streak, anyone can knock out about a dozen different colored Datsuns and call it a day. But Hasbro didn't do that. Hasbro seemingly put time and effort to chunk this guy out, redesign him from the ground up, and just give him a buttload more of character than anyone actually figured that he deserved. And I'm impressed, and I'm here for it, and I'm staying for it.